If you love America, you're among friends here.
You're tuned in to Rebooting Liberty.
Have you ever wanted to have your own radio show? Rebooting Liberty Radio Network currently has openings for live programs. For a very small fee, we will create a show intro, bumper music, and provide technical production for your hour-long show. Email producer@rebootingliberty.com for details. You can find us at live.rebootingliberty.com.
If you love America, you're among friends here.
You ready?
Welcome to duty, Commander.
Let's go!
Go! Enemy forces spotted. Follow me, men. Watch out, grenade! Man down, man down! All right, you're good to go. Thanks, much appreciated. All clear. Position under control. Out. We've regained control. Good work, men. You've been recommended for promotion.
You're traveling to another radio show. A broadcast not only of sight and sound, but of mind. A journey into the wondrous land whose boundaries are that of the imagination. That's the on-air sign up ahead.
Close your eyes and start a dream. Fly into the future you've never seen. Now yourself don't need a return. Touch the stars in heaven and let your life burn. Come on, sweet, to the ground of soul. I'm right here to be with you.
I'm with you. Are you with me? You're listening to American by Design with your host, Ben Fischer, and the number here is 657-383-1908. That's 657-383-1908. And we're broadcasting this show from the middle of, damn near the dead middle of Tennessee, the Highland Rim in Tennessee. We are also broadcasting this show via Traditional American Patriot Network and Rebooting Liberty Radio, which is rebootingliberty.com. So they're great people, and we appreciate the time that they give us, and we appreciate the amount of exposure that they give us. Tonight's show actually is, I've made it an hour and a half, but we've cut down from 2 hours to an hour because that's what everybody else is doing. And in this type of atmosphere, and you know, the online type of talk show hosts or talk show radio programs and that kind of thing, 2 hour show is a little bit long for them. So we're just trying to make this even, you know, we're trying to get along with everybody. We want to get along with everybody, you know, so that's what we're doing here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to extend the show after the 1 hour, and we're going to just go to like a post-game show or something, you know, where we just kind of just sit around and talk about stuff, if you want. And the number here again is 657-383-1908. Now, we've got the title of my show basically sums it up, but we've got a lot to talk about tonight. What I wanted to talk about mainly was it's ISIS, you ISIL. You know, it's, you know, we've got terrorists in the White House that are, and I'll explain that later. let's just suffice it to say that we have terrorists in the White House because they're terrorizing our people, basically. In the 2 hours that it takes for me, or used to take for me to do this show, and I just got some stats. You can extrapolate your stats from however you want, but I do this religiously because it kind of puts a little bit of a spin or a little bit of a thing on, not a spin, but it actually just shows you what is going on in 2 hours. In 2 hours in America, 130 abortions would be committed, 180 million added to the national debt, 24 murders, and 22 rapes would have been committed in 2 hours. And I have not got the updated stats on the number of cops killed in 2 hours, but I know that there's been about 50 killed this year in the line of duty. And you can reach me, if you'd like to reach me, you can email me at bingfisher at gmail.com, and that is Fisher with Fischer, not Fisher. You'll never get me. You can also look me up over on Facebook and look up American by Design, and you'll find our show page there. You can also catch me at Traditional American Movement, and that's traditionalamericanmovement.com. And before I get on with the rest of this stuff, let me just go ahead and I'm trying to get papers. I don't really do a scripted show. I don't believe in it. But there's certain things that you have to read. There's certain, and that's just the way it goes. It's just, I don't do a scripted show because it becomes stale, It becomes stale, and I don't like to do that. So, but anyways, Traditional American Movement. Let me just read you a little bit about this group. This group that I co-founded with a lot of other people. We were at Tea Party Nation at one time, and they did not take a liking to us at all, and they ejected like 25 people in one day, including me, and it was just a territorial thing. But Traditional American Movement includes all of the Americans who believe in America as designed. The Constitution of the United States is the result of the work of our very prescient founding fathers. They had stood with their lives and fortunes behind the Declaration of Independence, an act of treason against a powerful tyrant. They were the original traditional Americans. They absolutely refused to centralize the power they had just achieved by getting 13 sovereign states to ratify the Declaration and fight a major war against the greatest military power of their time. The need to have common standard and support on certain common issues was recognized, but the distrust of tyranny led them to write the finest blueprint for governance in human history, which made every citizen sovereign instead of some central leadership. The Constitution severely limited the powers of the federal government they formed. That supreme law of America still stands. The demand to return to strict enforcement of the Constitution against the federal government. The federal government has grown outside its lawful limitations. That spending must be justified by the enumerated powers of our Constitution, and the policy overreach like Obamacare be eliminated. Every traditional American knows that we cannot allow D.C. to borrow money from anywhere to put we the people in debt for unconstitutional government overreach, that the budget must balance. It's our money, not theirs to spend. The fact that there are numerous departments and agencies that have no standing according to their supreme law of the land, that spend money and strip individual rights as a matter of course, is absolutely unacceptable to traditional Americans. And everybody, I think, that has read that this far are traditional Americans, if you believe in the above. By identifying yourselves as traditional Americans, we do not say that we are not Tea Partiers or conservatives or anybody. The term includes all of Americans in what is now called the Tea Party movement, plus all Americans who believe the above, whether they are members of a Tea Party group or not. We're a huge group. Everybody collectively. We're on the side of this American decision. We stand against the left, the liberals, the Marxists, the communists, the big government promoters. We demand that we, the sovereign, and we are sovereign, and we will not be ruled by any political party or group in D.C. That's what we are, traditional American movement. If you'd like to join, we do kind of hold our fort down like Fort Knox. So it is registration required, and we do vet you. We do vet you. We probably do a better vetting job on you than the government does on these so-called refugees that are really immigrants coming in. And just seen David say, Bing, please don't call them ISIL. It sounds way too liberal. And yes, we're going to talk about ISIL and why the president calls them ISIL and why they should be called ISIS. Yeah, it's amazing how this president, right, every time he opens his mouth, it seems like something happens. And I don't know if that's intentional, but it does seem kind of odd to me. Hours after Obama taunts GOP with Windows female suicide bomber explodes in Paris. Now, I don't know if you've all heard some of this, but I wanted to play this for you. And this is Obama talking about the refugees. See, that's the big buzzword is the refugees now.
And when you start seeing individuals in positions of responsibility suggesting that Christians are more worthy of protection than Muslims are in a war-torn land, that feeds the ISIL narrative. It's counterproductive. And it needs to stop. And I would add, by the way, these are the same folks oftentimes who suggest that they're so tough that just talking to Putin or staring down ISIL or using some additional rhetoric somehow is going to solve the problems out there. But apparently they're scared of widows and orphans coming into the United States of America as part of our tradition of compassion. First they were worried about the press being too tough on them during debates. Now they're worried about 3-year-old orphans. That doesn't sound very tough to me.
Is that not amazing coming from the President of the United States? And hours later, a Windows female suicide bomber explodes in Paris. Now, is this not... it's reality. It's reality. No, we're not scared of anybody. Except maybe you. You're the biggest terrorist around. The biggest terrorist around. Because you terrorize the United States of America. At every turn. Left, right, it doesn't matter. Going straight, you'll do it. You terrorize people over race, over class, over whether it be white privilege and so on. The cops against the blacks. Black Lives Matter. Who's really the terrorist in this? I don't think it's the American people. I don't think it's the Republicans. I think it's the people in the White House, and I'll explain further. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
It's Thursday night, and you're grabbing drinks with some friends. Started off with a pitcher for the table, which quickly becomes 2. There's pool. And there's the photo booth.
All right, everybody squeeze in. Say cheese!
Followed naturally by an order of wings. And another.
Can we get some extra ranch sauce?
Then there's the ceremonial nightcap.
So what are we doing this weekend?
And lastly, it's back to the car, which, if you're buzzed, could be the most expensive night of your life. Getting pulled over for buzz driving could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Nothing kills a buzz like getting pulled over for buzz driving, because buzz driving is drunk driving. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
I think I heard a pin drop. I think I felt my heart stop. I won't waste another moment wishing that I would have told you. At least it's in the open, and I'm glad you know that. Well, no one else can satisfy this heart of mine. No one else can fill the hole that's in my soul. Everyone needs someone to love, and I need someone to. No one else will do. Oh girl, I just wanted to be you. Oh girl, I just wanted to be you. Oh girl, I just wanted to be you.
And welcome back to American by Design with your host, Ben Fischer. That was Brian Futch, and you get Brian Futch, his music, his compositions, all that stuff over at ReverbNation.com. Look for Brian Futch or BrianFutch.com. And we were talking about ISIS and ISIL and the difference between the two. And the difference between the two is because Obama does not use ISIS. He uses ISIL, right? The Islamic State, Syria used to be ISIS, and now it's Islamic State of Levant, right? Levant. And the Levant is Israel. So he's trying to legitimize the ISIS fighters with Israel. He's trying to, because you see the connection that he's trying to make there with Israel and the Islamic State. And that's why, look, even the press, even the media does not use ISIL. They don't say it. You don't hear, even the liberal media doesn't use it. They use ISIS. The president is the only one that is using that term. And ISIS doesn't even use ISIS anymore. They use IS. Islamic State. Not the Islamic State of Syria, not the Islamic State of Levant, is the Islamic State. He can't even bring himself around to say it. These liberals just can't bring themselves around to say radical Islam. Like Ted Cruz tried to say on CNN with Dana Bash. Listen to this.
Senator, President Obama called you out when he was speaking in Turkey, and he said it was shameful for saying that there should be effectively a religious test for refugees, especially since you come from a family where there was political persecution, and your family benefited from the policies of America allowing refugees in.
Well, look, it's not surprising that President Obama is attacking me personally. I'll tell you what's shameful is that we have a president who, after 7 years, still refuses to utter the words radical terrorism. What Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton are proposing is that we bring to this country tens of thousands of Syrian Muslim refugees. I have to say, particularly in light of what happened in Paris, that's nothing short of lunacy.
And he's exactly right. Ted Cruz is exactly right. But did you hear that little pause there? Because this was a pre-recorded episode on CNN. And Ted Cruz got the radical Islamic State bumped. Let's listen to
him. President who, after 7 years, still refuses to utter the words radical terrorism. What Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton are proposing is that we bring to this country tens of thousands of Syrian Muslim refugees. I have to say, particularly in light of what happened in Paris, that's nothing short of lunacy.
They can't even air what Ted Cruz said. You would think that liberals, like especially CNN, right, the community news network or the communist news network, would sit there and say, well, let's go ahead and air this because this is good. No, they can't even do that. These are a bunch of wimps. I mean, that's what this country has basically grown into, is a bunch of wimps that can't even speak, their own mind. They can't even speak it. It's not it's not in their mindset. You can't. I can't. But they can, and they don't want nobody else to. But these people are running the asylum. The inmates are running the asylum over there. And in D.C. anyways, we've got Obama saying, apparently referring to the GOP, right, that they are scared of widows and orphans coming into the United States of America. At first, they were too scared of the press being too tough on them in the debates. Now they are scared of 3-year-old orphans. That doesn't seem so tough to me. Well, how tough is Obama? What has he done? Okay, a few hours later in Paris, a female terrorist wearing a suicide vest blew herself up. And another jihadi was killed by a grenade. ISIS is Obama's legacy. Paris is Obama's legacy. Obama lost a war in Iraq by abandoning that hard-won country, and ISIS filled the vacuum. Obama pretended to be using intelligent patience, which I don't even know how you can equate that with Obama. Intelligent patience? What's he, a doctor? He's got some intelligent patients that came into the office all of a sudden? I don't know. As ISIS established and extended its caliphate state into Syria, which included the control, command, and training centers that were likely behind the Paris operation. And now Obama believes that screeching emotional blackmail in the form of suicidal political correctness is his real job. The D.C. media obviously got the White House talking points today. This was the other day. Orders that demanded Republicans be accused of playing into the hands of ISIS with their caution over these Syrian refugees. Well, for one thing, they're not refugees, okay? They're all these people are coming. A refugee is somebody that's escaping their war-torn country, okay? Because, whatever, a war or whatever it might be. And they're escaping. That's a refugee that they come over in this country or whatever. That's political refugee, whatever it might be. Remember the Muriel boat lifts? Does anybody remember that? With Castro and the back and forth and all that. He was going to send people, not send people, and that, back and forth. And all of a sudden he decided to send a bunch of boats over to Florida. I was in Florida. I remember this vaguely well, or not vaguely well, but really well. And what he did was he equipped a bunch of these boats with a bunch of murderers. He just emptied his jail cells and stuck these people on the boats with the rest of the people. So how are you going to tell me that we're going to vet these people? But the doublespeak out of this administration is unbelievable. It's unbelievable to me. Here you got Hillary Clinton. Listen to this.
I am sick and tired of people who say that if you debate and you disagree with this administration, somehow you're not patriotic, and we should stand up and say, we are Americans and we have a right to debate and disagree with any administration.
See, on one hand, she's saying that the people that want to debate and go against this administration, say that they're doing wrong things and so on, are wrong because they have a right to debate and they have a right for their own opinion. So she's trying to stifle. This is this kind of liberal mindset that just it invades everything. And it's just unbelievable to me that we put up with this as a nation. Hillary Clinton should be in frickin' jail now. I mean, even I know enough about this I don't know, this sicko to probably get her landed in jail. But I'm just saying, this woman is not right. I think she's got some kind of mental issue. I seriously do. And because, of her laughter all the time and stuff. And she's always cackling and everything else. But one thing that I want to do, I want to take and use this line out of her. Because every time my wife asks me, hey, Bing, is that project finished out in the garage yet? I'm going to play this.
What difference at this point does it make?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to use that, Hey, is the car fixed yet?
What difference at this point does it make?
Come on. This woman is an elitist, and it's very disheartening to know when I see her at rallies and so on that she actually has people that that love her, that just think she's the bee's knees and the queen of the crowd. And it's just unbelievable to me that this is happening in this country. And whether she becomes president or not, I don't know. I think the fix is already in my own opinion, but I can't be totally sure of that. But it depends on us. Like I read this piece earlier, about traditional Americans. It depends on us. We can't put it up to anybody else. We made this mess. We have to fix it somehow. And I think I know what that somehow is. In French, how do you spell idiot, or how do you say idiot? I'm just wondering. How do you say idiot? And you can call me, by the way, 657-383-1908. And I need to check that window, just make sure nobody's calling. Okay. All right. I don't know how you say idiot in France. And even if I could say it, I probably couldn't. But how does, not barely, a week after you have a severe attack on your country, that French President François Hollande welcomes refugees despite Paris attack. He says that he promised the other day, might have been yesterday, I think, that France will remain a country of freedom, defending his decision to honor a commitment to accept migrants and refugees despite Friday's deadly terrorist attacks in Paris. Now, how stupid can you be? How stupid? Especially after they find the guy that they're looking for, the mastermind behind it. Who's vetting these people? Are they honestly going to think that they're going to trust Bashar al-Assad, the leader of Syria, to vet these people? Because that's what it boils down to. The FBI's not vetting them. How the hell do they know who these people are? Hell, we don't even vet the Mexicans streaming across the border. We don't know who's coming in this country. They're already here. ISIS is already here. The terrorists are already here. There's illegals already here that we know, because we catch them every day and we have to let them go every day. Or stockade them in a jail cell somewhere and they get free food and free meals, and they're probably doing better off than they were in Mexico. This same thing that's going on with what happened at the Muriel boat lift back in 1980 with Castro. Throwing all his criminals, getting them out of the country. Because the Mexicans that are coming in here are not the Spaniards. They're not the elite class. They are the low class. They're the Indians. They're coming in here, people. They're already here. And I don't know what you've got prepared, but you better be prepared.
Hey, liberals, why don't you try rooting for your own damn country for a change?
To be a survivor in this amazing race with a need for speed, you need God's grace. And if you're desperate like housewives watching Days of Our Lives, you can't cope without hope, and that's not on a soap. If you're looking to Oprah or Dr. Phil, you can shop nonstop or pop a pill, but the void won't fill and the pain won't kill till you love the one that hung on the hill. Kicking back in your lazy boy easy chair watching Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Nah, you're not going to find it there. No American Idol or Council Tribal has a final answer that'll satisfy you. CSI ain't got a clue. SVU don't know what to do. Not the ER or the OC, nothing on a CD, TV, DVD, or MP3 can save you and me. CNN's got no good news. Here's a headline: you must choose. It's not a simple life, Paris Hilton. It's treading on thin ice, living in sin. You can be an apprentice for Donald Trump or eat Fear Factor fast food from a dump. You can be a heavy hitter, a Wheel of Fortune winner, a Fox News no-spin spinner, or a flat-out sinner. But you better check this life that you're living and make sure your sins are forgiven. I bet you 50 Cent, Elvis done came and went, and eventually every Black-Eyed Pea, Gwen Stefani, P. Diddy, and Britney, every wannabe on MTV with they icy bling, every Dixie chick that sings, they all gonna see the King of Kings. I don't care if you're J-Lo or Leno or Bono. One thing you gotta know, someday you're gonna die, bro. Then where are you gonna go? Hey, I'm not talking some punk junk that's irrelevant like your grandma's church from way back when. It's not some preacher feature on TBN that you need to be liking or listening. The real superstar is Jesus Christ. He's the way, He's the truth, and the life. One day He's going to split the sky. He's the brightest light and the highest high. So what I came to say and what I'm telling you is don't buy that stupid stuff they be selling you. It's all designed to fill your head and waste your space until you're dead. Here's the bottom line of my rhyme. Give your life to God while there's still time.
mayonnaise an instrument?
Crazy talk.
No, Patrick, mayonnaise is not an instrument. Horseradish is not an instrument either.
It's not crazy talk. This is crazy talk. What kind of place is this?
Crazy talk. If your parents got to meet a real dummy, they'd realize what a genius you really are.
But don't genius live in a lamp?
Crazy talk. Crazy talk. Crazy talk. Crazy talk. Crazy talk.
I gotta tell you, man, I stayed up late last night. I was really up late. And you're listening to American by Design, by the way, with your host, Bing Fisher. And I remixed all my audio. I got all pod safe audio pretty much. So we can go ahead and share it now on Mixcloud and SoundCloud and everything else. And nobody's going to give me no hassle. And, that kind of thing. So, but I found some just great artists out there. And Brian Futch was on earlier. He always does our ending too. And you can catch him, Brian Futch, at ReverbNation.com and BrianFutch.com. Excellent artist if you like his music, and a lot of people obviously do. You're listening to American by Design with your host, Bing Fisher. You can call me Uncle Bing, call me whatever. You can just call me 657-383-1908. We're broadcasting under the Traditional American Patriot Network, and we are partners with Rebooting Liberty Radio, rebootingliberty.com. You can go check them out. I'm going to try to get a couple of guests on next week. And I want to get back real quick here if I can. There we go. Back to Francois Hollande of France, where he says that life should resume fully. I just want to get back to this because this is so insane. He told a gathering of the country's mayors who gave him a standing ovation, what would France be without its museums, without its tourists, without its concerts, its sports competitions? France should remain as it is. Our duty is to carry on our lives. Why are you going to do that when you got people being killed there, Francois? How's that going to happen, huh? In the same spirit, 30,000 refugees will be welcomed over the next 2 years. Now, see, in France, they are taking refugees because they're coming from Syria. But in America, these people that they're calling refugees, okay, that were the 10,000 or whatever it is, now I don't even know what it is anymore. It fluctuates, but last hour it was 10,000. These are not refugees. These are immigrants. These people are already in France. They're in Turkey. They're in England. They're in Germany. And the UN is forcing us basically to take these people in. But the Democrats and the liberals want them in because it's a voting base for them. And they don't care how small it is because it'll exponentiate. They might lose this one and they might know that they lose this one, but it exponentiates. Exponentially. Never mind. I ain't going to say it. I need to get Patrick over here to help me talk. But this, with 10,000 in here, it'll end up to be 10 million. I'm just telling you. We've got Muslims actually are outpacing Israelis in this country in birth rate by quite a large margin. And they're going to eventually overtake the whole world if we don't do something about them. How are we going to vet these people? Are we going to trust Bashar al-Assad to sit there, or Assad to tell us who these people are? That would be like us calling up Castro and saying, who were the people that actually came over on the boat lift? Like he's going to tell us? No. He ain't going to tell us. These people with this vetting stuff is driving me up a wall. You can't vet these people. You can't vet any of them. So what do? Do you let them in? You just let them come into your country and just overtake it without knowing who they are, where they are, what kind of diseases they got? No, you don't. You got to do something different. You just tell them, no, you can't come here. You tell the tell the UN to take a flipping hike. You don't let them into this country. What is wrong with us? Seriously. You got Obama admitting, again, that he's a Muslim, you know, and the hits just keep coming with this guy. I think he's out of the closet now. I think he's really just saying, look, I'm a Muslim, and, you know, I sided with the Muslim. And now that we know that for sure, we can pretty much understand where he's coming from, I think. Promotes the Muslim Brotherhood, created the vacuum in Iraq and Afghanistan, pulled our troops out too early. Nobody wants to talk about boots on the ground, and you need boots on the ground because you just can't keep bombing everybody. You need people there for intel. You need people there to organize things, to get things together and so on, and to do a ground type of operation. You can't keep doing this. We can't as a country. We can't. This is unsustainable. You want to talk about the Democrats saying this is unsustainable and how they talk about unsustainability all the time? This is unsustainable. This is unsustainable. It can't be done. We can't do this. But
what difference at this point does it make?
It does make a big difference, Hillary. And you need to just shut your trap. We got a Dem lawmaker, Shakowski. ISIS Paris attacks, chilling reminder that U.S. needs stricter gun controls. Yes, never let a crisis go to waste. Even though they're terrorists, this idiot is talking about that we need larger gun controls in the United States. And at least one of the Islamists posed as a refugee to enter Europe in October. But she says that Islamic terrorists gutted their victims, or she says that she's from Illinois. She told Sirius XM Radio that the Paris terrorist attacks last week were a chilling reminder that the U.S. needs more restrictive gun laws. While France has some of the strictest gun laws in the West, only terrorists and criminals are packing heat.
Terrible tragedy in Paris over the weekend, and if you might want to add anything to the big conversation about what needs to be done.
No, obviously
I'm just stupid.
Frightening for every Western country. But I do want to remind you that before we killed a jihadist named Alaki, he did a video that said to Americans, join the jihad and get guns, because it's so easy in the United States of America to get a weapon. And that ought to be a chilling reminder, because aside from blowing themselves up, which is, of course, not about small weapons, these people use the kinds of weapons that are still available in the United States of America. And I think it ought to cause us to have another consideration of sensible gun safety laws.
Well, evidently the weapons were also available in France, I guess.
Well, you know, traffic in some small weapons around the world, and so it's not clear exactly where those came from. But you're right that they are, people get them, but they're so available here in the United States. Was the message that was sent to possible recruits for the terrorist organizations?
Yeah. Once again, Jan Schakowski's here. Let's get into the issue.
That's the message that the liberals want to portray, is that, well, it's all our fault, because we're so unrestrictive on our gun laws, and that's why other people get them. I mean, these people are just freaking Looney Tunes. I don't know where they come up with this stuff. You've got one of the toughest states or countries in the world, France, about guns, and she's sitting there. Basically, what I got out of that was she's blaming us for France's problem of letting in a bunch of these refugees that they don't know, that they have not vetted, that they can't just say, look, why don't we just take like Donald Trump's lead maybe in one way and say, look, why don't we just send these people to Saudi Arabia? They're all Muslim anyway, so they'd be better off over there. Why are we sending them over to America? There's just another big plane trip back when they're not refugees anymore, if you want to accept the fact that they're refugees. Because refugees to me are people that come to escape a country, but there's a war, and you got all these women and children. These are men coming over here, 20 years old men coming over here, fighting, fitting men. And their excuse is, well, we're paving the way for the women to come over. Well, where are the women? Where are the children? We don't see them. We don't see them either here. We don't see them where they are. You're just sending us the guys? What's the deal with that? What's up with that? Because these are infiltrators, and this is a plan. This is actually a plan by ISIS, not ISIL. This is a plan by ISIS. This is a plan by our own governments to bring these people here. The same plan that Barack Obama had for getting rid of Guantanamo. The same exact plan. He can't stand it. He can't stand the fact that his brothers and sisters are in jail, in a Cuban jail, in an island, basically. He can't stand that. He's the terrorist because he's spreading fear amongst his own people. What other president in history do you know of, other than Jimmy Carter, Clinton maybe, would stoop to these low measures to scare the living daylights out of their own people just for them to win some kind of political correctness or political votes? I can't think of any. This is the worst president I've ever seen in my life. The absolute worst. And it really comes as no surprise to me. You've been listening to American by Design. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
If you own a gun, you have a full-time responsibility. When you aren't using it, be sure it can't get into the hands of curious children, troubled teenagers, a thief, or anyone else who might misuse it. Your family, friends, and neighbors are all counting on you. Remember, always, lock it up. For more information on firearm storage safety, visit ncpc.org. This message brought to you by the National Crime Prevention Council, the Bureau of Justice Assistance, and the Ad Council.
This sounds like a gun battle over there. It's all yours.
Pull the bolt again. You're reloaded.
Fire! Fire! Fire!
Pull the trigger for single shot. Fire off a burst of 10 shots.
Fire! Fire! Now fire!
Gonna run away as far as I can from you, girl. I'm gonna hide and you won't see me again. You laughed at me, but now you know I think it's my turn. You say you love, but you have caused only pain. Your time is up, I'm tired of standing here just waiting. I need a girl to put a smile on my face. The days are gone that I used to love you, baby. I've set my mind onto someone who cares. Since you've gone another day, baby, please forget my name. Since you left another man, I feel you won't recognize me. Even if we meet, even if we meet.
Only on this show will you hear a PSA about gun control and followed up by a gun song, followed up by a surfing song. I'm just saying. You're listening to American by Design with your host, Bing Fisher. Number here is 657-383-1908. Please give me a call.
And so I think on the one hand, non-Muslims cannot stereotype, but I also think the Muslim community has to think about how we, the Muslim community has to think about how we make sure that children are not being infected with this twisted notion that somehow they can kill innocent people, and that is justified by religion.
I will say what he says here. He says, I think on one hand, non-Muslims cannot stereotype. Now, this was in Antalya, Turkey. Non-Muslims cannot stereotype, Obama said, but I also think the Muslim community has to think about how we make sure that children are not being affected with this twisted notion that somehow they can kill innocent people. He even appeared to emphasize the word we. And I'm just saying, it seems like he's doing a Bruce Jenner deal on us, and he's out of the closet right now. So, I don't know. Take it for what you want, but the fact is he said this over and over again when he's talked about different issues that in 2009 he did cite the prayers of the Continental Congress and President Lincoln's call for prayer during the Civil War, but the next year he mentioned God only twice, asking for blessings and guidance. He, is referred to his Muslim faith and so on, and, even WND is reporting on this anyways, and they're talking about where he took out the words "in God we trust" and so on with e pluribus and substitute them with e pluribus unum in a speech in Indonesia. So you take it for what you want. I'm going to take it that he's a Muslim. That's the way I see it, and that's just the way I see it. So we're coming up to our top of the hour. Not top of the hour. We actually got quite a bit of time left. But we've got another story here. The University of Vermont, right? Look, Vermont is heavily liberal anyways. But they held a 3-day retreat so students could confront their white privilege. This is unrelated to some of this other stuff. But before I get into this, I did want to play one soundbite here. And that's, I want to get back to Hillary right quick, because she's trying to play up her southern accent.
Well, over the weekend, Senator Clinton and her campaign took a trip down south, and apparently so did her accent. Listen to this.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far.
Who in the hell talks like this?
I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. And the chair of all the mayors in the country, Mayor Palmer from Trenton, New Jersey.
Oh, good Lord. I mean, this woman, look, she plays a room. She actually does. I mean, if you look at her through the years, she knows how to play a room. When she's in New York, she talks like a New Yorker. When she's in the South, she tries to fake this accent like she's from the South, and she's not from the South. When she's in the Midwest, she tries to fake an accent like the Midwest. This woman is a chameleon. She's a twisted little evil freak, and I'm telling you that I can't stand playing this stuff, but it has to be played because people need to see. They need to hear it. They need to see it for what they really are. They're hate mongers. They're full of themselves. There's nothing left in them but themselves. That's all they care about. It's not really about country anymore to them. It's about themselves. It's about how much cash they got in the bank. It's about themselves. It ain't about anything else. It's about themselves. And it's sickening. It's sickening to the point of beyond blowing chunks. I mean, it's just sickening to the point where you need to just go grab a gun and just start dealing with it. But anyways, yeah, the University of Vermont held a 3-day retreat so students who should identify or who self-identify as white could confront their own white privilege. Examining white privilege. A retreat for undergraduate students who self-study as white took place last week on November 13th. 15 was specifically for white students. So you've got white privileged students. Now dig this, right? White privileged students that believe that their white privileges just got them into all the sorts of BS, okay? And it's specifically not designed for white people. So there's no black people there to mentor them, I guess. According to the university, self-identifying white students who attend the retreat will come to recognize and understand white privilege from an individual experience and have the opportunity to conceptualize and articulate whiteness from a personal and systemic lens, as well as the impact of white privilege on the UVM community and beyond. The self-identifying white students also tackled tough questions like, this is a tough question. What does it mean to be white? Well, I don't know. What does it, am I white? I mean, I didn't know. This first time I thought I was black, man. What's up with you? I thought I was black. You call me white now? Come on, Negro. What's up? What's up with that? I mean, these people are insane. They got to go to a course that says, how does whiteness impact you? How does you being white? What does it mean to be white? I don't know. How the heck should I know? Just because I'm white? How does it impact me? Please. Please. The university does not host or does host a retreat for women of color as well, but it focuses on building leadership rather than confronting one's white own privilege. Aside from the women of color retreat, the university does not appear to offer similar race-specific retreats. Well, no, they wouldn't, because they're not programmed to do that. But anyways, I'm going to do my How Bizarre segment because this stuff is just really turning my brain into mush, man. I can't believe that people fall for this. I can't believe that students would actually go to a white privilege retreat. Can you? Hold your hands up. Huh? Yeah, I didn't think so either. Anyways.
How bizarre. How bizarre. How bizarre.
Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. It's making me crazy. It's making me crazy. Every time I look around. Every time I look around. Every time I look around. It's in my face.
It's in my face. Yeah, it's our How Bizarre segment on American by Design. And you're listening to American by Design with the host, Ben Fischer. Our number here is 657-383-1908. I'll get those numbers down pat sooner or later. Our How Bizarre segment this week is about the alibi goat. Now, I don't know if you heard about the alibi goat, but now if you're... I've heard people sucking on pennies or mints or whatever to hide, alcohol fumes on their breath when they get pulled over. But keeping a goat in the back of a car is new to me, okay? So I guess it could be an effective strategy. In Chicago, back on September 14th, a policeman, Theodore Lambert, testified that Larry Radkowitz, I guess, of Berwyn was intoxicated while driving an automobile, but said he could not smell the man's breath. Why not? Asked Judge J.M. Broad. He had a goat in the back of the car, said Lambert, and I couldn't smell anything but the goat. Radkowitz was placed on probation. Does it get any more bizarre than that?
How bizarre. How bizarre, how bizarre.
Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. It's making me crazy. It's making me crazy. Every time I look around. Every time I look around. Every time I look around.
Goat. Yeah, I'm going to have to start doing that, I guess, carrying a goat around with me, but I don't really drive when I'm drinking anyways. But, yeah, that's the show. That's the end of the show. We're going to go ahead and do our after the show, and I should have did a little bit better time management. But anyways, you've been listening to American by Design with your host, Ben Fischer, and number here is 657-383-1908. We're going to do our after the show right after this.
Sailed here from across the ocean with nothing else but his dream for a better life. His folks over there shook their heads at such a crazy notion, but deep down in his heart he knew he was right. Cleared the way for you and me. You can still hear his spirit sing, I am America. This land is my land, America. I know one day after I'm gone, someone will carry this dream along. And that's what makes this country so strong. I am America. Grandpa volunteered for the war across the ocean. There's no price for his country he wouldn't pay. Like so many others, he fought for the cause with great devotion. And just like his daddy, he led the way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. His stories have faded with his years, but his eyes say it loud and clear. America, this land, my land, America. I know one day after I'm gone, someone will carry this dream along. And that's what makes this country so strong. I am America. My dad handed down the things he was taught, like loving your neighbor and trusting in God. I am America. This land, my land, America. I know one day, long after I'm gone, someone will carry this dream along. And that's what makes this country so strong. I am America. Yeah, I am America. Oh yeah, I am America.
You're listening to Rebooting Liberty Radio Network. Compelling and entertaining talk.
Don't touch that dial.
Hey, liberals, why don't you try rooting for your own damn country for a change?